I really appreciate y'all joining this session. I'm really excited to showcase Rehearsal to you today. Please, during this session, feel free to use the chat. Feel free to use the Q&A. Be happy to stop and answer any sort of questions that we have as we go through the session today. But I'm actually just going to go ahead and dive right on in. We're going to make the most out of the next 29 minutes and really just walk us through this platform and hopefully give you some ideas to see how you can utilize video-based practice with your teams, within your organization, and potentially with your clients. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and you all should see the rehearsal platform here. And so one thing to note, I'm going to show you all the web version of Rehearsal today. Please note that we do have native iOS and Android apps available if you're going to be accessing this in a mobile environment. And so as you see this platform here, I am currently logged in as an end user, right? So I'm a learner, and as you can see here, I've got some assignments that have been given to me based on my role within the organization, based on where I'm at within my training. Maybe we've identified some areas of improvement, and these assignments have been pushed out to me a la carte by my manager, my district manager, or something of that nature. But these are the assignments that have been assigned to me as a learner here in the platform. You'll notice that each assignment has its own start and end date and is broken down into these individual, we call these scenarios in the platform, they're just individual pieces of a skill set, of a talk track, of a presentation, of a workflow, right? These are just the micro learning modules, basically, that you're having me practice within this platform. So let's go ahead and hop into this success story scenario. And this is what we call a standard mentor feedback scenario here within the platform. So this is the most involved type of scenario that you would see within Rehearsal. What you'll notice is that every scenario is comprised of 4 parts, okay? You've got this front end prompt video here. This is going to be the front end of a video role play or simply the instructor-led type of instructions, right? So you can deliver it in either way. You'll see here that this one is in the role play format, but you could easily say, all right, everybody, we've got this new product rollout. We're going to be working on our elevator pitch today. Please keep it between 30 seconds and a minute. Let me see what you got. So you can deliver it that way from an instructor-led standpoint, or go about it in the role play style. Along with this role play video, right, you get this opportunity to include any sort of further text-based instructions. So you have this section here, and typically, you type in here, what the expectations are for your end users. You want those to be really clear, or maybe you want to provide more context around what's going on within the role play, or maybe you want to link out to some information here. You can hyperlink in here as well. So you can type in whatever you want in this section. You also have the ability to create a grading rubric when you build these scenarios. And if you do so, we give the learners visibility into what the criteria within that rubric are. Number 1, for transparency's sake, but number 2, quite honestly, if we do a good job of labeling these criteria, it's a great way to drive the correct behavior out of these learners within their practice in the first place. And then lastly, you have a spot over here for attachments. So any sort of content that you want to include over here that you want the learner to review prior to practicing, you can include here as an attachment, whether it's in Word doc form. You can see I've got a case study in PDF format here. This could be a best practice video, a training video in MP4 format, or an audio file, whatever it might be, you can add that over here. So all this information customizable to every scenario you build within the platform and is meant for the learner to review prior to practicing. Okay. So when I'm ready, as the learner, I'll play this prompt video and prepare to practice.
Wow, sounds like you guys have some pretty cool stuff going on. But I always like to do my due diligence. So can you tell me about some success stories that some of your clients have had?
Okay, so obviously for our session today, wanted to make this, really generic. So I now know that I'm talking to a prospect. He wants to hear about some success stories. I think his name is Daniel. Like, he even looks generic. Like, you probably see him walking down the street at some point in time. So from here, really clean user experience. So I've got 2 options. I can either record if I'm actively practicing this within the platform, or I can upload if, for whatever reason, right? Let's say we did take a video on Teams and we recorded it, or on Zoom and we record, right? We could take that recording and come in and upload that as our response as well. However, I'm actively practicing this, so I'll click the record button. When I do so, the platform will access the camera and the microphone. Now you see me picture in picture here. I click this start recording button. I get a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And now I'm on the stage. Now I get the opportunity to go ahead and practice telling that success story. Or, maybe this is a pharma use case and I'm practicing overcoming objections in front of a doctor. Or maybe it's a call center type situation. I'm dealing with a difficult customer who has called in with a problem. Or maybe I'm a first time manager and I'm learning how to have difficult conversations with my employees, right? So the scenarios within this are absolutely endless. I can certainly talk for as long as I want. And when I'm done, I'll click that stop recording button. And the first thing that happens is that this video automatically plays back. So I have to see myself, I have to hear myself, and I have to decide whether or not I did any good on this take. And now I'm on the stage. Now I get the opportunity to go ahead and practice telling that success story. Okay. Oh, good pause by me there with the eyes half closed. That's a good one. All right. Either way, I can watch this video all the way back through. And then again, really clean user experience here, like red button bad, green button good type situation. I can either discard this recording and practice again, or I can submit it for coaching and review by my mentor on the back end within this platform. Now, what we've found at Rehearsal is that learners are by far their own harshest critics, right? So historically, we see that learners click this discard recording button 5.6 times on average before ever submitting a video, before ever getting any sort of feedback or any sort of coaching. So they're really starting to build this confidence, competence, experience, right? That they're starting to get comfortable with these situations in a practice environment to where the feedback that they get then can be really detail oriented, so we can actually look to improve and upskill right within this practice. And this is giving people the opportunity to practice, right? I'm going to keep it kind of with the idea of the sales role here, right? We don't want our salespeople to be practicing on prospects or potentially revenue driving situations. We want them to practice here, where they get this level of comfortability and confidence before they get into that in front of that prospect or on that call to close that deal, right? Okay. On that same note, we want Rehearsal to be a safe place for people to practice, right? We want people to feel like they can push themselves outside of their comfort zone and really live in that gray area, because that's actually where you get better within this type of practice, right? So if I did discard that recording, that video goes away. Nobody ever sees it. Nobody's going to see my mistakes or how I screw up or anything like that, right? If we think about traditional role play, regional sales meeting, national sales meeting, or some sort of in-person meeting, breakout room with some peers, with a manager that's not my own, and I'm just up in front of everybody and I'm just talking just to get through it, not really trying to get any better at it. I'm probably sweating through my shirt a little too much, right? So we want give these people a safe place and environment to practice, okay? So again, if I discard that recording, goes away, nobody ever sees it. On that same line, right, if we talk about people take 5.6 takes, if I try 5 times, but that second one, that was my best one, well, that video is gone. We got to keep going through this until we absolutely nail it and submit it in the platform. Okay. We'll say for the sake of our time today, though, that this video was good. So I'm actually going to go ahead and submit the recording. I get a prompt that says, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Which I do. I click OK. That's going to do 3 things. That's going to start the upload of that video, which is going to append itself here to this scenario in the platform, kicking off what we like to call the conversation thread. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to start to transcribe that video. Every learner video that gets submitted in the platform is getting automatically transcribed, so we can identify trends in messaging, filler words, keywords, things of that nature. And then the third thing it's going to do is it's going to send a notification out to whoever's been assigned to me as my mentor, letting them know that I've submitted a video and they need to go in and provide some feedback. And as a matter of fact, I'm my own mentor here on this scenario, so I already got the email notification that came across, and I've also got the mobile app on my phone, so I got the push notification, not to mention you all get to see my dog, which is a win for you. It's win-win-win, right? Everybody wins in that situation. Okay. I'll take a quick pause. I'm going to check the chat. Please, again, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. Let's see if we've got anything in here. Poor Daniel just says, Daniel's one of my best ongoing jokes, right? I'm on tour with that one. Jess asked if the transcripts are transportable, and the answer to that is yes. Yes, the transcripts are available in the reporting and exportable to where you can share those if you want to, create scripts out of them and share them out to your teams. Absolutely, you can do that. Tammy asked, does it allow for a continuous conversation? So Rehearsal is an asynchronous platform. And so there's a way that we can provide feedback, and I can show this to you and we'll talk about this, to where we can provide feedback on this learner's video. but then we can also prompt the learner to try again, in which case we can provide the video that can be the next installment or the reaction to this learner's video by, the prospect type situation. I'll talk that through. Nancy asked if this can run on a Samsung tablet. Samsung, I believe, operates in the Android world, right? In which case you have access to the Google Play Store, and we do have a native Android app available in the Google Play Store. So this can absolutely run on a Samsung tablet. Great questions. Yes, also on an Android phone. And yes, it does, Angelica, support multiple language. And I'll get into that as well. We can touch on that as we look to wrap up here. Try to keep it in the flow, but thank you. That's a good question. All right, please keep those questions coming. I really appreciate it. We'll keep the workflow going here, okay? So let's go ahead and hop over to the mentor side of this platform. For me, it's an admin side, of course, because I'm an admin here in my platform, but let's talk about providing feedback and driving the coaching on this particular skill set, okay? So again, of course, I'm an admin here in my platform, so I see content creation and user management and all that sort of stuff. If I'm just somebody's, regional manager, direct manager, their mentor, right? And I just have mentor rights in here, I'm only seeing this review tab, okay? So I can't come in here and go foul up our content or go get lost. Here on the review tab, I've got a queue of all these different scenarios I've been assigned to down here. Whoops. All right, as you can see here, but here's that scenario that was just submitted. So I can certainly click into this scenario and as the mentor, I get to see all of the original scenario information, so I can review any of this if I need to. We're obviously going to be pushing out multiple scenarios, I would imagine, so I might need to review this as the mentor. As I scroll on down, every video you'll see here is color coded, so every learner video that gets submitted is going to be wrapped in green here, so there's that learner's response. I, as the mentor, also have the ability to view that transcript, so this will help me streamline my coaching, streamline my feedback, and cut down time in platform for me. I can certainly watch this video and start to build my feedback. And now I'm on the stage. Now I get the opportunity to go ahead and practice. Okay, good pause this time, kept my eyes open, so that's good. Then we've got a multitude of ways that we can provide feedback, and we've actually built this in a way that either supports multiple mentor feedback or to the question that was in the chat, and forgive me, I forget who asked it, but if we want to drive a continuous conversation on this one particular topic, okay? So the first way to leave feedback is to leave a comment. Cool thing about being able to leave a comment is not only can the feedback be video and or text-based, but we can associate that comment with a specific time within that learner's video. So you'll notice, right, I paused it at 4 seconds. This brings it to 4 seconds. I can move this around if I want to, okay? So on a 42-second video, time-based feedback's probably not going to be all that relevant, but if you've got somebody who's practicing a presentation or just some sort of longer video here, and you want to leave feedback at 42 seconds and 1:29 and 2:33, you can do that, okay? So one thing to note about the comments is that it doesn't move the workflow along at all, right? The learner can see this feedback, watch this feedback, read this feedback, but it's not prompting them to do anything, okay? So if we were to get rid of that, right, we could either prompt the learner for a new response, and this would be how we provide that next installment of that role play, right? So let's say we left that commentary feedback on that learner's video. They can take that and look to improve on that. But now we're going to go ahead and record a video, in which case we're based on that learner's response, now we're going to throw an objection at them, or we're going to ask a question and have them respond to that, right? So this prompt for a new response would allow the learner to see this video that you leave and then would ask them to then either record or upload, okay? On the same line, if we're not just looking to continue the role play, we could leave feedback here with this video saying, hey, Micah, that was a good job of telling that success story, but you forgot to talk about the financial benefit and the ROI for the customer. Go back in, integrate that into your story. Let me see what you come up with, right? And we can continue to go back and forth in this manner, however many times we need to in order to get to a level of comfortability and sufficiency that we're looking for, okay? Again, though, just because we're trying to fit a lot into a short amount of time today, we'll say that that video by this learner was good. So now we're going to go ahead and submit for final review. Again, when we do that, we can still leave our text and our video feedback, right? But now here comes the grading rubric that we created when we built this scenario on the back end in the first place. And I can go ahead and provide the grade here for this learner. You have full control over how little or how many grading criteria are here. You can change what they're called and what they're labeled, and you can change this scoring scale to be anything out of up to 100. So make it a 1-point scale, 5-point scale, 37-point scale if you like prime numbers, like do whatever you want. It's your show. Same process here for the mentors when it comes to providing feedback. Mentors need practice too, right? So they click start, they get their 3, 2, 1 countdown. Micah, that was a fantastic job of telling that success story. I really like what you came up with. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of other people from the team can learn from that success story. So I just wanted to let you know we're going to be promoting that video to the leaderboard. Congratulations. Micah, that was a fantastic job. It's my positive self-speak for the day. Again, mentors can discard and submit if they need to. Again, we'll go ahead and submit that video. Mentors always have to finish with this publish button simply because we're launching multiple actions here, right? So we go ahead, we click publish, and that'll send the volley back over the net per se, right? So now if we scroll back to the top here, right, we see that this is closed. We can see the conversation status is now closed, and we can see the score that we've given our learner here, right? And then I just mentioned that Rehearsal has a leaderboard, and our leaderboard is simply meant to be a repository of best practices. So if we've got people who are just killing it in these situations, right? They've got great communication skills or awesome business acumen, or they're some of our, top sales performers or some of our best managers, right? What are they doing in these situations that we can go ahead and highlight and make visible for other learners in the platform so that they can hopefully go in and see some of these videos and impart some of what they see into their own practice, right? So I, as the mentor, can come down here to this video that we want to highlight as a best practice. Right underneath it is this add this response to the leaderboard button. I can click on that, and that brings up this section. And typically, as a best practice, we would do 2 things here. Number 1, you want to type in here, you want to give credit where credit is due, right? It's going to help drive performance and activity in the platform. And second, since this is going to be visible to other learners, we want to type in here why this video is good and what we want people to learn from it. Okay. I'm just going to say this is great, again, for the sake of time. I can send this directly to the leaderboard, or some organizations, from a cultural standpoint, they like to request permission from the student to be pushed to the leaderboard. You have either option. I'm just going to go ahead and send it. And now that is on the leaderboard. Okay. So again, hold on, this is in my way here. Back over here on the learner side, right? I'm getting all these notifications that are coming across as all these actions are taking place. All right, but now over here on the learner side, I can see, right, my big green check mark. I can see my score over here that I've been given. I can click into this scenario and I can scroll on down through the conversation thread. So my video is always going to continue to live here, right? So again, we talked about being able to, go back and forth multiple times. So I, as a learner, I'm going to see the growth I've made from my first video all the way down to my last, and I can always see the feedback videos at any point in time and go back in and refer to those, right? So here in red, again, that's what a final review video is posted. It's wrapped in red here, right? So there's that mentor's feedback video, and I can see the breakdown of the rubric over here. So let's say, for instance, I was a learner who had not practiced this scenario yet, but I wanted to check that leaderboard to see if there were some of these best practice videos for me to learn from. Right up here in the top right is this View Peer Responses button. I can click on that, and that'll take me to the leaderboard pre-filtered for just that scenario I was working on. But then likewise from the home page, I can easily click on the leaderboard, and now I see all of the videos from myself and my colleagues that are all of the same scenarios that I've been assigned to. Okay, so if we're running 2 different programs, a sales program and a leadership training program, if I'm in the sales program, I'm not seeing any leadership training best practice videos on my leaderboard, right? It's not my purview. I don't see any of that. Okay. So there's my video there. I can scroll on down. I've got a colleague, Alex. Maybe I've never even talked to Alex before. Maybe Alex lives in Virginia with Bianca, right? I could come in here and learn from his success story.
Great question. One of my favorite success stories to share.
Okay, so I can watch that all the way through. I can see the note from his mentor as to why it's good and what I'm supposed to learn from it. And then we've got the ability to drive a little bit of socialization here in the platform by being able to like videos on the leaderboard. I like to call it the Top Gun feature, because you could come in here and filter by the most liked and, just see, who the best of the best is type situation. Okay. So again, that's the most involved mentor feedback scenario within Rehearsal, right? That's that learner experience, that feedback coaching experience, and the leaderboard. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat, and let's cover a couple of those. Otherwise, I've got one last thing to show us before we wrap up our session today. Jess asked if peers can grade. So Jess, when you're creating these assignments, you get to create the cohorts of who the learners are and who the mentors are. So if you want to go ahead and have some of those peers be mentors, you can actually set the permissions in terms of what kind of feedback they can leave. So you might actually restrict them to maybe only being able to leave those comments where they can leave that video or text feedback, but they're not touching the workflow, right? They're not moving the workflow along at all. So you can absolutely build it in that way. Okay. Tiffany asked if there's a specific way to put videos into categories for retrieval. Definitely on the leaderboard, right? You can filter by different assignments or different programs and things of that nature. Within our channels function over here on the left-hand side as well, you can create, you can create just basically groups of videos if you wanted to create a historical log, or just like, hey, here's just a historical log of best practice videos, and break them up by product or by team or by region or whatever you want to do. You can absolutely do that. There's a lot of configuration that you can do with those. So it's a bit of a tough question, but the answer is ultimately yes. Tammy asked, for contact centers, if they don't have email or phones, what else can they use to record and review the platform? I'm on a laptop, right? They can always utilize a laptop. If they've got a desktop with a webcam, you can go about it that way. Otherwise, again, phones, let's see, if they don't have email, that's a good one. Tammy, we might have to talk more about that. Okay. Kaylee also asked, is there any way to have a user record their screen and upload that as a video if we need to see a demonstration of particular skills? The answer to that, Kaylee, is absolutely yes. Let's show that really quickly before I hop into just the AI component of the platform. So within Rehearsal, you've got a couple of different things you can do. You can do what's called a hot seat. In a hot seat scenario, once the learner plays that prompt video, as soon as that prompt video ends, the platform automatically launches the camera and the microphone, automatically starts that 3, 2, 1 countdown, and they get one shot to go ahead and nail whatever it is that you're asking them to do, right? So it's a great way to certify or a great way to test, post-training or something like that. Let's see you actually do it in a one and done situation, okay? So that's hot seat. For audio only, this, again, it might be something great for call centers. It's exactly what it sounds like. When the learner goes to record, it's just going to access the microphone, not access the audio file. So, you're role playing like it's a phone type of conversation. Some organizations still want to see the person on video because those nonverbals can say a lot about how you're communicating. It's that kind of smile and dial old adage, but you have the opportunity to do audio only if you want. And then lastly, we do have a screen recorder built into the platform. And the screen recorder will allow you to capture just what's going on the screen, or you can also capture what's going on the screen and see the person present and hear them how they're talking, just like this here. So I'll show you what that looks like here.
Okay, so through our Rehearsal screen recorder, we can also capture something that I know you all want to do, which is things like system certification, for lack of a...
Okay, so obviously you can see here, you're capturing whatever's going on my screen. You can see me, you can hear me. We do see this utilized with new hires, with system certification, things of that nature, sales for sales presentations, or leadership training for these presentations that they've got to give to teams, or at regional meetings or national meetings or anything like that. The screen recording is a great way to practice that and get coaching and feedback. Okay. All right. The very last thing I wanted to show everybody, is, well, now we're going to get to it a different way. Hold on, one of those assignments was locked. I didn't set the time and the date correctly, so it's locked. I can't get to it. So I'm going to take a 3-second placeholder video here so I can get to the next scenario. Placeholder video. Great, submit. Okay. So our intelligent journey capabilities are all, they're they're scaling options, right? They're components to allow us to take the workflow off of the mentor, right? The mentors can still get involved in providing and coaching and feedback, but we're really trying to take the onus off of them to have to own the workflow on every single submission here that a learner makes. So we can do things like this particular video or this particular scenario here that we created is an autocomplete. So a learner can come in here, practice as many times as they want. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Learner, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, but we need you to go in and practice this thing. So once the learner submits their video, it's automatically marked as complete so that they can move on to the next thing. Transcript will still be there. This still shows up in the review tab, so a mentor can go in and provide feedback if they want to. But again, we're not reliant on that mentor to go ahead and close out that workflow for the learner. Okay. The other thing that we can do, there's three things actually. We can do what's called text analysis. Okay, so our text analysis is our AI component that says, hey, it's keyword recognition, right? So you can set up a keyword bank of up to 25 keywords. You set the threshold for the number of keywords that the learner has to mention in their response in order to quote unquote pass. Okay, so if a learner fails to mention the required number of keywords, you can do what's called content branching, which is route them to a learning module that you create that can be text-based, video-based, attachments-based that they've got to review prior to practicing again, right? So we're looking to eliminate the guess and check there. And then lastly, you can take any grading criteria that you build here within the platform and write it to be learner-facing and make this a true self-assessment. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Learner, how confident, or how comfortable do you feel about this topic? Did you do X? Did you do Y? Did you do Z type situation? So again, all of these are in place to scale video-based practice within your organization. So I'll show you quickly in our last 3 minutes here how this works. The value of Rehearsal's intelligent journeys is to allow organizations to do video-based practice at scale while creating a time savings for mentors because they're not getting bogged down with having to respond to each and every learner video that's getting submitted to them in the platform. The value of Rehearsal's all right, that was my first time ever delivering that. You guys believe that? Nailed it. It's amazing. All right. So while that video is uploading, right? On the back end, not only is it doing the transcription, but it's also checking against the keyword bank that we created. So I happen to know on this particular scenario, we had 6 keywords and I have to mention at least 3 in order to pass. So it's typically a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of how long it takes for the video to upload versus how long the transcription and the AI portion of this takes. Yeah, that's just an FYI. So just while we're waiting for that, if anybody else has any other questions in the chat, feel free to throw them in here. I know we've only got a couple minutes left. Like I said, we wanted to pack a lot in here, okay? So there we go. So I mentioned 5 of the keywords, okay? I can view the transcript here within this text analysis portion, and it'll actually highlight those keywords that I said within that transcription, even the ones that I mentioned multiple times. So again, if I had failed to mention the required number, it would say, hey, you only mentioned 2 out of the 6. The required number was 3. And this would actually say, if there was content branching, it's going to route me to the module, or if not, this would say record or upload again, right? Asking me to try again. But since I passed this portion, now here comes the grade my response aspect. So here's the rubric that we created. I can go ahead and grade myself out on this performance. I did all these things. I can uncheck it if I didn't do something, right? And we can submit. And now I've actually effectively finished that entire assignment while only having 1 mentor engagement there. Okay, so again, the intelligent journey capabilities, scaling options to allow you to do video-based practice across your organization and not, wear down your mentors. So that was a lot. I like to call that my Wizard of Oz demo, right? It's just that peek behind the curtain type situation. If anybody has any questions left here in our last couple of minutes, please throw them in the chat. Annie asked, what if there's a language barrier? So the platform does do pretty well with accents and, when the English isn't perfect, it actually does a really good job with that. However, there are going to be times where it doesn't, and it just provides an opportunity to do some proper coaching on it and really work on those things. Because if that language barrier exists, right, that's still something that we need to address and be able to coach to. Yep. It's a good question though. Oh, there was a question earlier. Languages. So here within the profile, right, the languages. Rehearsal supported by 12, I believe. You can see here They're all supported here. All of these are going to change the language that's in the platform on the scenarios and the content you create yourself, right? If you want it in multiple language, you're going to have to create them in multiple languages. Okay, and the text or the transcripts that are created when the learner submits the video are supported by 8 different languages, right? So the transcriptions here are supported by 8 different languages. Supported on all versions of Windows. Denise, the answer to that is yes. I mean, we're gonna ask you when you're accessing it in a web environment to access it via Chrome. Google Chrome just works the best, but on all versions of Windows, yeah, as long as Chrome's available. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bianca's playing the wrap-up music. I'm just kidding, Bianca. You did great. All right. Thank you, everybody, just for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I know I went over on my time. It's very classic sales guy. I'm right on brand, but appreciate the opportunity. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to continue the conversation, do demos for your teams, whatever it might be. Just talk more about the topic itself. But again, thank you for the opportunity, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.